You're pathetic, my sister Lauren hissed, her fingers digging into my shoulders at the top of the sleek marble stairs of St. Augustine Medical Center. Mom and Dad will never believe you anyway. My name is Chloe Ramirez, and at 27 I was staring into the icy eyes of my 31-year-old sister, Lauren. We were supposed to be visiting our grandfather after his heart surgery, but instead she had backed me into the empty stairwell, away from nurses and security cameras. Or so she thought. Move, Lauren, I said evenly, trying to step around her. Grandpa's waiting. She smirked, that cruel little laugh that had haunted me since childhood. Always the perfect granddaughter, aren't you? Playing nurse, bringing little care baskets, always making me look bad. This isn't about you, I said through clenched teeth. It's about Grandpa. Her nails dug deeper. Everything is about you, Chloe. It always has been. Her voice dripped with venom. Sweet, brilliant Chloe. Always winning, always shining. I'm done with it. Her shove came before I could react. One hard thrust, and suddenly the world flipped. My body slammed against cold marble steps. Shoulder, back, ribs. Pain exploded everywhere. When I finally landed on the mezzanine, breath ripped from my lungs, agony surged through me. My vision blurred as I saw Lauren descend. But not to help me. She pulled out her phone with perfect poise, dialing. Mom, Dad! Her voice cracked, dripping with false panic. Come quick! Chloe fell down the stairs. I tried to grab her, but I wanted to scream, to speak the truth, but each breath stabbed like knives. Minutes later, the stairwell door burst open. Oh my God, Chloe! Mom shrieked, rushing to Lauren first, wrapping her arms around her trembling frame. You poor thing, you must be terrified. Dad crouched beside me, his face hard with judgment. Chloe, what were you thinking, running like a child on hospital stairs? Tears burned my eyes, not just from pain but betrayal. I forced out a whisper. I didn't. Don't you dare, Lauren's voice cut sharp, tears flowing like clockwork. I tried to save you. How can you lie like this? Mom's face stiffened. Her eyes turned cold. Enough, Chloe. The edges of my vision darkened, but one thought pierced through. She thinks she's won. If only they knew, the cameras saw everything. Chloe, stop it. Your sister is traumatized enough without you spinning lies. Dad's voice sliced through the stairwell just as the door burst open again, this time revealing a medical team led by a tall woman in navy scrubs. Her name tag read, Head Nurse Ramirez. What happened here? She demanded, kneeling beside me. Before my parents could answer, a younger nurse rushed in, breathless. Nurse Ramirez, you need to see this. She clutched a tablet, her expression grim. Not now, Mom interjected sharply. Our daughter had an accident. She was running and fell down the stairs. Her sister tried to catch her, Dad added quickly. Ramirez's eyes narrowed slightly. She looked at the tablet, then at Lauren, then at me. Something in her face shifted, calm on the surface, steel underneath. Mr. and Mrs. Ramirez, please step back, she said firmly. We need to examine Chloe immediately. Her tone left no room for debate. As the team worked over me, I heard Ramirez speaking quietly into her phone. Security, I need the footage from stairwell C, last 10 minutes. Send it to Dr. Ellison and notify hospital administration. Lauren's face drained of color. What footage? She whispered. That's when we all saw it. The small black security camera in the corner. Its red light blinking steadily. It captured everything, Ramirez said calmly, though her eyes glinted like sharpened glass. Every stairwell is monitored. For patient safety, of course. This is a family matter, Dad began, his voice tense. Ramirez turned, voice like steel. Sir, what I saw on that feed is assault. That's not a family matter. It's a criminal one. Lauren's fake tears vanished in an instant. You can't prove anything, she snapped. Camera footage doesn't lie, Ramirez replied evenly, unlike some people. As they slid me onto a stretcher, I caught a glimpse of Lauren's perfect mask cracking at the edges. My parents stood frozen, their curated image of family loyalty crumbling in the sterile glow of hospital lights. Ramirez leaned close as they wheeled me toward the trauma bay. "You're safe now," she whispered. "We're not letting them bury this." For the first time in years, I felt a fragile spark of hope that someone might finally see the truth behind the flawless facade my family worked so hard to maintain. But as they pushed me through the double doors, I turned my head one last time. Lauren was staring after me, her jaw tight, her eyes cold. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The security camera had caught everything. But that was just the beginning of what it would expose about my family's darkest secrets. The emergency department was chaos. Bright lights, sharp voices, the sting of antiseptic in the air. X-rays confirmed 2 fractured ribs, a sprained wrist, and deep contusions. As the doctors worked around me, I could hear my parents in the hallway, their voices ricocheting off the sterile walls. "This is outrageous," my father thundered. "We are not allowing our daughter to be treated like a criminal." "Your daughter shoved her sister down an entire flight of stairs," head nurse Ramirez replied, her tone calm but unyielding. "The police have already been notified." "It was an accident," my mother snapped. "Family issues should be handled privately." Through the thin curtain, I saw Nurse Ramirez step closer, her silhouette rigid. "Mrs. Ramirez, in the last hour we reviewed additional security footage from previous visits." The pause that followed felt like a void sucking all the air out of the room. "This isn't the first incident we've documented in our stairwells," she continued. My stomach dropped. They had found the other videos. 3 months ago, Lauren had accidentally slammed me into a wall outside Grandpa's recovery room. 2 months before that, she tripped me near the vending machines. Small incidents. Always brushed off as my fault. Always with my parents rushing to comfort Lauren as she cried on cue. Dr. Ellison, the attending physician, pulled the curtain closed, shutting out the hallway drama. "Chloe," she said gently, "we need to talk about your previous hospital visits." I stared down at my bandaged wrist. I'm clumsy. "Chloe," her voice was firm but kind. "We've documented 6 accidents in the past year, all with your sister present, all dismissed as your fault." Tears blurred my vision. "You don't understand. My parents. They'll never." "Your parents aren't in charge anymore," she cut in. "You're an adult, and we're mandated reporters. This ends today." Moments later, Detective Harper walked in, a soft-spoken woman with steady eyes and a leather-bound notebook. "Has your sister always been violent toward you?" I hesitated. "It got worse after Grandpa changed his will last year," I whispered. "He left his house to me instead of Lauren. I worked remotely, so it made sense. I could care for him. But Lauren..." I let out a bitter laugh. She didn't take it well. Outside, Lauren's voice erupted, hysterical and shrill. "This is insane." For the first time, I felt the weight shift. The truth was finally breaking through the cracks. If you want to see how the truth shatters everything in the next chapter, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what happens when the footage plays. "Chloe's always been jealous of me. She's twisting everything." Lauren's voice dripped venom as Detective Harper's pen froze mid-note. "Your grandfather's house," Harper said evenly. "What's it worth?" "About $1,200,000 0 cents," I whispered. "It's in the historic district." Harper's brows lifted slightly. "That's quite a motive." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Attached was a video file, followed by a short message. "Thought you might need this." Hands trembling, I opened it. The footage showed Lauren in the stairwell an hour before the attack, her voice cold and sharp as she spoke on her phone. "I don't care what it takes. Once Grandpa's gone, that house is mine. Chloe won't be a problem much longer. One more accident should convince her to give up her claim." Detective Harper's expression hardened as she watched the video. "This changes everything," she said flatly. "We're not just looking at assault now. This is premeditated." A sudden commotion outside the curtain pulled our attention. To my shock, Grandpa appeared, frail in his hospital gown, supported by Dr. Ellison. His voice was firm, carrying the weight of authority no one dared challenge. "I want to see my granddaughter," he declared. The curtain swished open. His eyes softened when he saw me, battered and bruised on the hospital bed. Then his gaze shifted to my parents. Cold, unyielding. "How long have you been covering for Lauren?" "Dead," Mom started, but Grandpa raised a trembling hand. "I've watched you dismiss Chloe's injuries for years," he said, voice trembling with anger. "I stayed silent, hoping you'd finally see the truth. But this?" He pointed at the video playing on Harper's tablet. "This ends now." Lauren stepped forward, her face a mask of false innocence. "Grandpa, you don't understand." "I understand perfectly," Grandpa snapped. "I understand that greed and jealousy matter more to you than family, and that your parents enabled this, until it escalated to attempted murder." "Murder? That's absurd," my father sputtered. Detective Harper cleared her throat. "Actually, given the premeditation and the height of that stairwell, attempted murder charges are absolutely on the table." Lauren's perfect mask shattered, rage twisting her features. She pointed at me, spitting venom. "This is all your fault. You've ruined everything." Two uniformed officers appeared in the doorway, handcuffs ready. As they led Lauren away, I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Fear. The same fear I'd lived with for years. Grandpa lowered himself into the chair beside me, his voice soft. "I'm so sorry, Chloe. I should have acted sooner." But we both knew this wasn't over. As they wheeled me away for more tests, I caught one last glimpse of my parents huddled together in the hallway, their carefully constructed world of denial collapsing at last. The security footage had captured more than a shove down the stairs. It revealed years of secrets they could never hide again. 6 months later, I stood in front of my grandfather's house. My house now. Morning sunlight danced across its Victorian trim, the scent of fresh paint lingering from the renovations. The bruises had faded, but the changes in my life were deep and irreversible, mostly for the better. Lauren had accepted a plea deal, 2 years in prison, with mandatory counseling. My parents, confronted with undeniable evidence of their enabling, were ordered into family therapy. They hadn't spoken to me since the hospital, except through their lawyer. "Chloe?" Grandpa called from the wraparound porch. He'd moved in with me during recovery and never left. His surgery was a success, and together we'd turned the house into something it hadn't been in years, a safe, loving home. As I joined him, a familiar car rolled up the driveway. Nurse Chloe Ramirez stepped out, balancing a bakery box. "How's my favorite former patient?" she teased, her warm smile chasing away old shadows. "Better every day," I said, taking the box. After the stairwell incident, Sarah became more than the nurse who saved me. She became a friend, part of the family I chose. Our Sundays became sacred, tea, scones, and conversation on the porch, a ritual of healing. "Any word from them?" Sarah asked softly, her tone careful. I nodded. "Mom emailed yesterday. They want to meet." Grandpa's teacup clinked hard against its saucer. "And you said?" I agreed, but on my terms. "At Dr. Thompson's office with her present." Dr. Thompson, my therapist, had taught me that healing didn't mean pretending it never happened. It meant boundaries. It meant protecting myself. "Lauren's been writing too," I added quietly. "From prison." I glanced toward the study, where a drawer held a neat stack of unopened letters. Each one a ghost of the past, each one waiting for a day I might feel ready. Sarah squeezed my hand gently. "You don't have to read them, not until you want to." I nodded, feeling the weight and the freedom of that truth. Next week, I'd face my parents again, this time on equal ground. As I stepped into Dr. Thompson's office, a quiet strength settled over me. For the first time in years, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel powerless. My parents were already there, seated stiffly on the beige couch. They looked smaller somehow, deflated versions of the towering figures who once dominated my life. "Chloe," Mom began, her voice trembling as though the words weighed a ton. "We've been doing a lot of work in therapy. trying to understand our part in what happened. Dad's eyes stayed fixed on the floor. "We failed you," he said finally, voice low. "We chose to believe what was convenient instead of what was true." "Yes," I replied simply. "You did? We want to make things right," Mom continued, a flicker of desperation crossing her face. "We want to be part of your life again." I drew in a deep breath. "That's possible, but it has to be different." I sat forward, my voice steady as I said the words I'd been carrying for years. "I'm not that scared girl anymore, begging for scraps of your love while you ignored the truth. I have boundaries now. And expectations." Dr. Thompson nodded, her calm presence anchoring me. "I won't pretend the past didn't happen. I won't smile through holidays, playing happy family, while ignoring the scars you left behind. If you want to be in my life, you need to acknowledge what happened and commit to real change." For the first time, Dad lifted his eyes to mine. "And Lauren, when she gets out?" "That's not my problem," I said firmly. "My safety comes first. If she does the work, gets help, proves she's changed, maybe someday. But I'm not making promises." That night, back at Grandpa's house, my house now, I opened one of Lauren's letters for the first time. Her words were nothing like I expected. "I never saw myself as the villain," she wrote. "I was drowning in jealousy, so sure you didn't deserve what you had. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not even asking for a relationship. I just want you to know I understand now what I did. And I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be better." Standing on the wraparound porch, the sunset splashing gold and rose across the sky, Sarah's voice from that day in the hospital echoed in my mind. "You're safe now." She had been right. The security footage hadn't just captured a crime. It had captured the moment I broke free. Free from fear, free from denial, free from the toxic loyalty that chained me for years. Grandpa joined me on the porch, 2 steaming cups in hand. "Proud of you, kiddo." I smiled, taking one. "You know what? I'm proud of me too." Behind us, the Victorian house stood strong. No longer a battlefield, but a sanctuary. The security camera had caught everything, but what it really recorded was my rebirth. Sometimes the best family isn't the one you're born into. It's the one you build from the ashes of what broke you. And that's the thing about falling down the stairs. Once you hit the bottom, the only way left is up. I want to hear from you. After everything I've been through, fighting for the truth, breaking free from fear, your support means more than you know. If you were in my shoes, what would you have done? Would you forgive your family or walk away for good? Leave your thoughts in the comments, because your advice might help someone else going through something similar. And if my story resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that healing and boundaries are possible. Remember this, protecting your peace is not selfish. Setting boundaries doesn't make you cruel. It makes you strong. Family isn't always about blood, it's about trust, love, and respect. Build the life you deserve, even if it means starting over. You owe that to yourself. Now tell me, what's your advice for someone finding their strength again?